Welcome to the Next in Time podcast, where we explore the fascinating depths of how people have the potential of impacting the world with the mission and vision of their project. Join us on this audio journey as we uncover the hidden gems of one's vision, delve into thought-provoking discussions of why they're pursuing it, and see how they're going to make an impact. If you're a curious person, this podcast is your go-to destination.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Next in Time podcast. I'm your host, ST, and today our guest is Manuj Agarwal. He is the founder and chief innovation officer of Tetranoodle Technologies, which is a premier artificial intelligence and cybersecurity consulting company. He is considered a thought leader in the field of AI with multiple patents and whose work got recognized from Barack Obama and Bill Gates. So Manuj, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here because I definitely wanted to have more AI-based thought leaders on our shows, particularly with the fact that AI is like the biggest topic of discussion amongst everyone right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It has exploded, I guess, in the last few months.
Like we always said that AI, I've been hearing about AI since like way back in like the early to mid 2010s, and and they always. Actually, the funny thing was I took a class in personal development once. I think they were always talking about AI, how it's going to be replacing a lot of jobs, and how the most important thing you have to do is keep being the human in this.
Yeah, exactly. Artificial intelligence is very interesting. I think as we dive into it, I'll talk about how it actually is a continuum between who we are, our human mind, and the technology.
All right, no problem. And also, you've had like 4 patents, right?
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. So we, as a company, so my company is a technology innovation company. We focus on AI and blockchain and other cutting edge technologies. So the 4 patents, 2 of them are in healthcare, where basically we helped cure joint pains. A lot of joint pains people experience because of the way their feet are constructed. And some people have flat feet, some people have high arches. So in this case, surgery or medication does not help. So what we did was we created some algorithms which can take some pictures of your feet through your mobile phone and convert those pictures into a 3D model, which is within 2 millimeters of accuracy of your actual size of the foot. And then that 3D model gets 3D printed, and it produces a custom fitted orthotic device that goes into your shoe, and then it helps with joint pains. So those were 2 patents. And then 2 other patents are in education field, where we help students get access to personalized curriculum. So in most classrooms, if there are 30 students, every student gets the same curriculum. But as we know, some students are advanced, some students need more help. So this patent was like a personalized learning system, where in the same classroom, every student gets a personalized curriculum.
Do they measure their abilities, or the students' abilities, and then provides a curriculum based upon like what they inputted as their abilities or something like that?
Yeah, so as they make progress in the course, the system is able to detect, how proficient they are in that particular topic, and then based on that, it adjusts what comes next. So if you are more proficient, you may be able to skip a few chapters. If you need more help, you may actually get additional material to learn that topic.
Got it. And so these are all these different patents, and that you've managed to receive, and also your work has been mentioned by President Obama and Bill Gates. So what were those pieces of information that was recognized by them?
Yeah, so this was the other patent, because so this is related to higher education as well. A lot of people in higher education institutions, what happens is that they drop out of their degree program. Specifically, around 30% of the students drop out of their degree program within first 2 years. So what we did was we created algorithms which match the student with the right courses, just like Netflix matches us with the right shows. So the idea is that we can match the student with the right course based on their interest, based on their capacity to learn, and that brings down the dropout rates dramatically. And that particular project was so impactful that it got recognized by Obama and Bill Gates.
Really? And so would they make a speech about it, or would they just say, "Hey,
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
endorse what this guy has provided," or something like that?
See, I want to be 100% transparent. They never named me, right? They named the project. Yes, there are speeches. That there is a video that I have of Bill Gates talking about that project and explaining how it has helped and all of that stuff. But between me, my small company and people like Obama and Bill Gates, there's a huge distance. So they focus on the results, they focus on the impact, and they mention the projects by name. The specific project and the brand name under which this project was developed, it's called Degree Compass. And so anybody can search online and take Degree Compass Bill Gates, and you'll be able to find that video easily.
Got it. And yeah, you've got a very interesting background considering the fact that you worked in factories for $2 a day, and then could you tell me more about that background you had? Like you had a very interesting, like is that like a working class background or something?
Yes, 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 yes. So what happened was, I grew up in a small town in India, and I wanted to obviously do something good with my life or make an impact. Basically, realize my full potential. But there were not a lot of opportunities in that small town. And the family I grew up in, my dad, he's a self-made person. We are lower. We belong to lower middle class. And he has a factory, right? He still runs a factory, and he raised me as a factory worker. I was getting the same wage as other factory workers, doing the same work as other
Like
factory
what did you
workers.
what did the factory produce?
Nuts and bolts for industrial fasteners for heavy machinery and things like that.
So this was when?
This was around 1990s, yeah, 1990, and between 1990 and 1995.
Okay, it's just I believe that's when it was like the industrial age was taking over in India or something.
I mean, industrial age has been around for a long time, but yes, India was growing. What happened was around that time, India started opening up its economy to international companies and started becoming globalized. Before that, it was very much a closed economy.
Got it. And then going from working in the factory, and then from there you ascended towards the boardrooms of Fortune 500 companies. So what was that journey like?
Yeah. So I found after that factory, like I wanted to do something else, and I found my love for programming and technology and software, and I was really good at it as well. So I knew that is what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And then through a series of events, I came to North America. I found a job relatively quickly, but then I also lost first few initial jobs very quickly. Like between the period of 1999 and 2001, I lost about 4 jobs quickly.
Because of the dot-com bubble burst.
Yeah, exactly. .com bust, and then September 11, then Gulf War. A lot of those world events were happening, and so that then led me into entrepreneurship. So I started working with a lot of different startups, large corporations like Microsoft, helping them build their systems. So initially, my journey started working with startups, but then eventually, as I gained more and more experience, then I worked with companies like Microsoft and Pearson Education and IBM and a bunch of others, where it really helped me understand how these large corporations work and how they make their money, how they make that impact in the world.
And based upon what you've seen so far, how do you distinguish between startups and large corporations?
I feel like the way that I can simply describe it is like a startup is like a motorboat, and it's got it can shift direction very quickly, and it can go really fast. And and then a large corporation is like an oil tanker. So it goes in one direction, but if you want to change that direction, you really have to make a lot of effort, and it turns 1 degree at a time. So let's say if you want to change something, it'll take like days, months, or even years before you can see that change.
Right. And now that you're currently based in Canada, right?
Yes, correct, correct.
And what are some of those challenges that you've faced when living in Canada?
Well, I mean, the very first thing, when I entered the economy, it was just getting to know people and communicate with them. Even though I spoke the language, I didn't understand the culture. I didn't understand the nuances of the dialects or the facial expressions or the internal jokes that people, make. So it took a while to really understand. Okay, what are people even talking about, and how they, perceive the world, and what do they resonate with, and all of those things took a lot of time to understand and assimilate. So that was the first experience, and then afterwards it's been a journey of just convincing people that I've got stuff that is useful to listen to, because again, I don't want to get into like things where it may have any negative implication, but just as an outsider, it takes a lot of extra effort to make room and say to people that I belong on this table, and my voice is important. So
Right. Yeah, because that's one thing you always notice is like whenever you go somewhere new, it's like you have to make a name for yourself in a very powerful way rather than just like you can't just subtly just go in there and then be like, okay, I'm ready to help you out. But no, you have to go in there and say, I have the chops. I can just give you the best quality product out there, kind of thing. Yeah, in
yeah,
a way.
exactly.
All right. So going forward, now that you've transitioned from helping out Fortune 500 companies, you've also now you've built this IT services firm, Tetranoodle Technologies, right?
Yes.
So what was that journey like?
So as I said, I mean, this company was started back in 2001 when I had a series of layoffs, and since then it has grown consistently. Like for until about 2018, it was just me, and so it was like a very small company in serving local clients, getting work based on word of mouth. And then in 2018, my mom passed away, and that changed quite a bit of my life. And I wanted to take my company to a level where I could be location independent, and I could visit my family back home. So at that point, I started shifting the emphasis of the company, still providing technology consulting, but becoming more known, building a brand, learning about marketing, learning about sales. All of those things were very foreign to me as an engineer, and so I had to learn all of that to build the whole business from the ground up. I even changed the name. The original name of the company used to be Spider Communications,
That's a
and
very good. That's a very what you call a virtual type of name. Come to
exactly.
think of it.
Yeah. I mean, at that time, when the internet was like, this was again, as I said, like 2000, 2001. At that time, the internet was called, I mean, the World Wide Web, and it was just coming up. So, having no experience in marketing, I thought it will be cute to just say, okay, we are the spider for the web. And then, in around 2007, 2008, when the smartphones were coming up, people started asking me, "Oh, Spider Communications, is that like a phone company? Do you install phones or what?" So then I started getting a sense that I have to change the name, and I changed
That's,
it in 2018.
I think this is where Google got the idea of the crawler, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
they just they might have seen
yeah.
your name, your company's name, Spider, and then be like, okay, maybe because we need a term for our search engine to go through all these different websites and extract information. So we'll
Yeah,
just have it called the crawler. So I believe they must have
yeah.
gotten some inspiration from you there.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully, I'll go back to them for the royalty check.
Okay, so now shifting focus. Now, do you now normally specialize in AI services, right?
Yes. I mean, we have been involved in AI for the last 15 years. As I said, I have 4 patents in that. So it's not a new thing to us. We have been doing this work for a long time. But now, with the AI in the news, everybody's talking about it. So naturally, our focus now has shifted more specifically on AI and helping people make sense of it and adopt these technologies in their business.
Right. And so how is a typical AI platform built based upon your experience so far?
Yeah. So see, it all starts with the end goal in mind. Like what are people looking to achieve? And let's say it's a healthcare project. Let's say they want to create a new way of diagnosing problems. So then that is the end goal. Then we start to work backwards from that and say collect more information and talk to other experts, because obviously we as technologists, we don't have the answer on what diagnosis, how to do it, what are the variables, what are the what's the environment that we are working with, who is involved. So we talk to a lot of experts in that domain and start to extract data. We start to collaborate with them, and then after coming up with some sort of basic understanding, we start to say, okay, because AI is nothing else but learning patterns in data. So we feed hundreds of thousands or even millions of data points about a particular domain into an algorithm and say, okay, now, hey algorithm, go and learn what is actually happening in the real world and tell us what the outcome should be. And so then starts a series of experiments. So we use a number of data points, number of algorithms, and we start to train those algorithms. Then we take the output back to the domain experts. We ask them, hey, we trained our algorithms to perform diagnosis based on what you provided us. This is what our algorithm came up with. So can you please help us validate it? If it's valid, then we know we are in the right direction. But more likely it is not valid, then we make tweaks, and then we start the process or fine tune the algorithms once again. So it's like anything else, like it's an iterative process, just like anything else in life.
Yeah, if you had to compare the early programmers where all they had to do was put in a couple of commands and the computer will just execute on those commands. Like now the AI, you're just giving it a different set of commands where it has to learn new commands by itself, right? Is that what that's what it's like? As you mentioned, it's an iterative process.
It's an iterative process. There's still quite a bit of work that's manual, that's done by humans. Even though there's a lot of progress being made in using AI to generate more how can I say it, like more advanced algorithms or technology or code on its own, but still humans still have to be involved in that process.
Yeah. So why do humans have to be involved in, because people had that presumption that once AI is developed, it'll take care of itself. Yet then humans have to be available to do that. Like, why is that?
Well, I mean, as advanced as AI is today, it is still nowhere near close to what human intellect can do. The second thing is, it is a very passive technology. Like it's like a car. If you don't start the car, it's not going to go anywhere. So it's not a self propelling technology that it can say, okay, let me figure out what the problems are around me and start to solve it. A human has to initiate that and use it as a tool to accelerate that discovery, that invention, that whatever we are trying to solve.
Right. And so now we're currently in the year 2023, and this is like the pivotal time. This is like the pivotal year where, the AI can start coming in, taking over jobs. Like, it's happening, all over the place. For example, if you notice like with ChatGPT coming up and then saying like, what, this can produce better information than a human can and also if you notice that AI is like IBM has been laying off jobs because they want to automate some of them with AI. And also with now what's going on in Hollywood with the writer's strike, that because these studio execs want to get rid of the writers' rooms and replace them with automatic machinery, with automation. So do you think there's like this penchant fear? Why? Like, why do you feel that people are afraid of having their jobs being replaced in general because of AI?
Yeah, well, I mean, what happens is, like, humans have always have a tendency to be afraid of the unknown, right? And then the other aspect is, whenever a new groundbreaking technology is introduced, there is always this confusion, this transition period before the dust settles, and then people figure out, okay, how do we live in this new reality? So I'll give you a quick example. Like, when the internet was just coming along in the 1990s, there was a huge fear around the year 2000 with Y2K. Like, everybody thought the world is going to collapse because the computers did not know how to deal with the year 2000. If so this phenomena is nothing new. Now, job displacement, I believe, yes, there's going to be some job displacement. That is, again, not anything unlike any other time in history, where, when the automobile was invented, people were worried, oh, what is going to happen to all the people in the horse cart industry. And what ended up happening was, people who upskilled themselves, who sort of went with the flow, they found much better and much higher paying jobs in the automobile industry. And I can go on and share more and more and more examples of all these instances in history when new inventions created new jobs. So right now we are going through that transition. Most people don't understand that if you replace the writer is the person who has had the experiences, emotional experiences in their life, who can relate and bring out that emotion by writing. And now they can use the AI to become more productive, to become more creative. But if you remove the human altogether, I don't think there is any movie producer who has gone through that emotional trauma to be able to convert their life journey into something that will resonate with the masses, with the audience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, in a way, but I was gonna say this with there's a lot of people that right now that are fearing for their jobs because of that replacement. I mean, I know they have to adapt, but then again, they are, let's just say, they're like older people out there. Let's just say they don't have the income to sustain themselves because let's just say things have happened in their lives and whatnot. Let's say they're older.
Yeah.
And right now they have a harder time adapting to new technologies versus, let's say, if someone's younger and more agile, like people our ages.
Yeah. See, I like, I cannot speak to everybody's situation. I'm sure there are going to be people who will be diversely affected by something like this, but that is not to say it is unlike any other life situation, right? Like COVID happened, and we were all helpless. We could not do what we wanted to do. We were under lockdowns for several months. So at some level, we also have to look at this not as just okay, technology coming and ruining my life, but then life happens, right? Like, their life is full of ups and downs, and every challenge comes with an opportunity. So I'm going through challenges myself in my personal life, and they are nothing to do with artificial intelligence, nothing to do with technology. But I just have to push through that and work out a solution that will be most favorable to me and people around me and all of that stuff. So yes, we can point a finger at AI, and yes, we can say, okay, this is the technology that took away my job. This is the technology that toppled my life upside down. But at the same time, we also have to look at life itself and say, okay, sometimes these things happen. So how do we, as human beings, as resilient people, how do we deal with these things? And the help is available out there. So if you go seek out help, talk to people, understand how to navigate these things, it can work out really well. But if people say, oh, this is done, game over, I cannot deal with this, my life is done, that's another way to look at life. And that a lot of people do that, but that doesn't lead to any solution.
Right. And the one thing about AI is that there's a double-edged sword. One is that people are fearing for their jobs, but then people really want to have the world change with AI in a way. And sometimes I like to see where, okay, there's always moments where people are going to start using AI to help run critical business components, or like, let's say, critical global components. And let's let's just say the AI breaks down.
Mhm.
So then what really would be a solution there if the whole system breaks down for some reason because some random issue? Let's say I'm just going to put the airlines, for example. If you recall, like in December 2022, we had
Yeah.
there was a massive glitch in the flight scheduling system and stuff for
Yeah.
Southwest
Yeah.
Airlines.
Yeah.
That's it. And because let's say people are reliant on these AI technologies to give them the latest updated information, or let's say give them the pathway forward. And say let's just say the system breaks down. There's no human labor to maintain it. What would be
Mm.
that? What would how would you be able to diagnose that situation?
See, the way that the world has been set up, depending upon how critical the system is, how many people it affects, and what is the urgency of the situation, like a medical system, like the airline reservation system, there is always backups. There are always backups and backups and backups. So it may not these backups may not kick in like right away. It may not be instantaneous. Again, we cannot think of life or technology or human beings as a perfect combination. There's always going to be glitches, and if those glitches did not exist, then we will still be living in the caves as cavemen. Those glitches and those sort of urges to fix things are the things that drive us to invent new things. So to come back to the point, let's say there is an AI system managing these critical systems. There's always people who have thought about backup. Okay, what will happen if this system fails? Okay, what will happen if the second backup fails? What will happen if the third backup fails? And as those things happen, the backup kicks in, and that is how the system is restored eventually, right? So I want to assure people that it's not like a doomsday scenario where everything will just fall apart. People who build these systems, they think through scenarios, and there may be instances where they haven't thought of a particular scenario which will show up, but then once it shows up, it informs us to do better, and we fix things moving forward.
Do you see any limitations with AI?
Of course. I mean, the key is we have to realize the AI is always looking at the past data. It cannot predict the future. It cannot focus on what is going to happen, and it cannot feel emotions. Those are some of the things that humans possess. Like, we have the vision we have the imagination to envision our future. We have the capacity to feel emotions and these type of things. And that's a brief sentence, but it has very deep implications, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so now that we're running out of time, let me ask you this one final question. Since
Mhm.
you are the owner of you're trying to provide AI services to a lot of companies,
Mhm.
so what advice would you give to someone who really wants to transform the world with AI?
Can you repeat that question? Sorry.
No, what advice would you give to someone who wants to let's just say they're going to utilize your services? Like how do you help
Yeah,
them
yeah,
envision
yeah.
how their product is going to make an
Sure,
impact?
sure. I'll give you a few quotations. So the father of AI has said that AI is as impactful as electricity or fire. The CEO of IBM has said that AI is going to add $10 trillion to the world economy in the next 7 years. And currently, the world economy is about $96 trillion. So 10% or more of world GDP will be added in the next 7 years. And then Peter Diamandis, who's a famous scientist and entrepreneur, he has said by the turn of this decade, there's going to be two types of businesses that either they use AI or they are out of business. So if you look at all these statements, they're pointing towards one thing, that AI is not a technology that can be avoided. It is an essential thing that will need to be incorporated into our daily lives. In fact, it is already there. If you take
Just
out your
like
smart,
I was
yeah,
going to say, just like the internet.
exactly, it's already there. You take out your smartphone, I mean, this Zoom meeting we are using to record, it's all controlled by AI already. So the idea is to help people understand what this means for their business, help them take baby steps, start adopting it in some scenarios. For example, once again, when in 1990s, if you ask somebody, hey, do you need a website, do you need an email address, most people would have said, no, I've got my yellow pages, I've got my landline, I'm good to go, right? But slowly the people realize that without email address, it's impossible to communicate with each other anymore. Without the
Especially
internet,
long distances. services.
Exactly. And without the website, you basically don't exist. So the transition happened slowly, but people who realized it earlier on, they got tremendous value. So we go into a business, we educate them, and we say, okay, this is how you can use technology. This is how you can use AI. And this is how we can help you implement it. And this is how you can get the benefit out of it. And so that's how we help businesses, right?
Right. Sounds good, Manuj. Yeah, I think this pretty much will wrap up our episode. So thank you again for coming on the Next in Time podcast, and we look forward to seeing how your venture and also all your businesses that you build will make an impact in the coming years, and especially in the field of AI.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was such an interesting conversation. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Next in Time podcast. We hope you enjoyed diving into the intriguing vision of our guest today. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media to stay updated on future episodes. If you have any suggestions or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.